When you're applying to colleges, you'll find that a lot of schools have supplemental essays in addition to the big Common App essay that we've been talking about a lot recently. One common type of supplemental essay is the Why Us essay, where you explain why you want to attend the school that you're applying to, as if it wasn't already clear that you want to attend the school given the fact that you're applying to that school in the first place. Maybe it's because of the fact that there are so many people applying to these schools that they want to see who wants to get in badly enough. And although it's called a Why Us essay, in this way, it's also kind of like a why you essay. Why should they take you over other people who are applying to that same school? And as you're trying to figure out how to write this essay for your own applications, I think it's always best to learn from examples. So today I'll be sharing some of my own why us essays from a variety of my applications. So let's get right to it. Name one thing you are looking forward to experiencing at Stanford. 50 words. As much as I'll be learning inside the classroom, I'm excited for the unique opportunity to engage in linguistic fieldwork around the world. One project I'm interested in is Voices of California, because I'm curious about how regional differences in slang develop. Do people in SoCal really say gnarly? Please tell us what you value most about Colombia, and why. 300 words. What does it mean to be human? It's a question without an easy answer, but one that Colombia incessantly pursues through storytelling. First, its students seek to understand what it meant to be human. The core curriculum examines humanities and the arts as a vehicle for storytelling, a story that spans thousands of years of human experience. Through small class sizes and intense dialogue, students challenge how they think about and view the world as they explore contemporary civilization and the frontiers of science. Together, students become informed, articulate, and proactive agents of change in a global community. But it doesn't stop in the classroom. Around campus and on the streets of New York, there are a wealth of people whose stories I can learn from. Colombia is a microcosm of the surrounding city, unparalleled in its embrace of people from all walks of life. I want to engage in meaningful discussions within this diverse community, topics ranging from politics and philosophy to pizza and Pokemon. Even if our views differ, I appreciate variety in opinions because it allows me to develop my worldviews in ways homogeneous thought cannot. Everyone's story deserves to be heard. Humanity is shaped by how we communicate with one another. The stories we tell define us. To engage meaningfully in the world, we must come to understand one another. To do that, I want to hear as many stories as I can. And with offerings in 57 languages, everything from Arabic to Zulu, Colombia will certainly have me prepared. And as I read these stories, I'll also be writing my own, woven together into the collective tapestry of humankind. As a child, I loved losing myself in stories. Now, I love them even more. They are what make us human, and at Columbia, the story never ends. Brown's open curriculum allows students to explore broadly while also diving deeply into their academic pursuits. Tell us about an academic interest or interests that excites you, and how you might use the open curriculum to pursue it. 250 words. In 5th grade, I watched a video about Tim Donor, a teenager who spoke over 20 languages. Since then, I've wanted to be a polyglot just like him, conversing with people around the globe. Unfortunately, my school only offered Spanish, but I've self-studied French and Japanese with some success. Through Brown's open curriculum, I gained access to courses in 25 languages, ancient and modern alike. I can continue my studies in Korean or pick up Czech. I could even take classes in Akkadian, which few other schools offer. Maybe then I can get a leg up on Tim. As I learn to speak these languages, I'll also study the science behind them through linguistics. Beyond just syntax and semantics, I'll uncover how we learn languages. How do children and adults acquire languages differently? How does multilingual education affect brain development? How have languages evolved over time? I'm curious to understand how we communicate, because in capturing how we experience the world, language defines who we are. During my time in Korea, I learned that language is a vehicle for storytelling. Through the Korean language, I learned about the country's history, education system, economy, and politics. Most importantly, I was able to form lifelong relationships with people in their mother tongue. As I pursue a career in a global community, I must be able to understand the hearts and minds of people from cultures foreign to my own. My first step is as simple as learning how to say hello. Which aspects of the Tufts undergraduate experience prompt your application? In short, why Tufts? 150 words. I wouldn't have expected to see someone wearing a Tufts hoodie on the streets of Seoul, but that's when I realized just how worldwide the jumbos really are. Through my summer in South Korea with Nisli Y, I developed a keen interest in international relations. I'd love to further explore East Asia through the civic semester in Kunming. Typically, it's rare for incoming freshmen to spend their first term abroad, but Tufts believes in accessibility of opportunities for all students. As a university with one of the strongest IR programs in the world, Tufts is committed to its mission of developing active global citizenship, with thought-provoking classes like Who Owns the Past and Women and Gender in the East Asian Tradition. I will be challenged to re-examine how I perceive and engage with the world. And maybe next time, I'll be the one wearing a Tufts hoodie halfway around the planet. I know I'm the one that wrote them, but I think these are pretty solid essays. But I will note that I wrote similar essays for some schools that I did not get into, whether that was either being waitlisted or rejected. So there is a little bit of survivorship bias here with my essays. But it's important to understand that these essays aren't viewed in a vacuum. You know, the people who are reading your applications aren't looking at this one essay alone. They're also considering all of the other parts of your applications, which is why it's called holistic admissions. Throughout my essays, there were a number of things that I did my best to avoid talking about. For one, in these essays, you'll notice that I'd never really talked about the location of the schools themselves, because in a lot of cases, this isn't really something that's specific to the school. So for example, if I'm applying to BU and in their YS essay, I talk about the fact that I really want to go to school in Boston, that's something that's not really super specific because there are tons of other schools that are in Boston. So if I'm talking about location, why would I apply to BU over some other schools? So because of this, I would recommend not talking about location of the school in your YS essay because it's not something that's super specific to the school. I also avoided talking about the fact that I wanted a good education out of the school because in most cases when you're applying to colleges you are going to be looking for a good education, and once you reach a certain level the quality of education between schools doesn't really differ too much. So talking about getting a good education or even a world-class education isn't going to be super specific in most cases. I would also really recommend against talking about prestige in your YS essay. You know, it doesn't really give the best impression of yourself if you say that the reason you're applying to a school is because of its prestige. I think that that comes off as really shallow, and if I was someone who was reading your application and I saw that in your essay, I would automatically reject you. But that's just me. Another thing that I see that is really common in these YS essays that I would recommend against you doing is talking about feeling at home when you visited campus for the first time, because in a lot of cases, you'll never really know what it's like to be a student at the school until you actually become a student at the school. And when you're just touring, you don't really get to see a full view of the university. So talking about feeling at home when you visit that school doesn't really come off as the most sincere or even the most believable. I also think that it comes off as pretty cringe. And I would say that overall, your number one priority in this essay should be avoiding to be cringe as much as possible. And then in terms of things that I did want to talk about in my YS essays, I wanted to make a point of talking about specific clubs, classes, opportunities, etc. that are available at that school, that are really only available at that school. Because if you talk about things that are unique to that school, things that that school has that no other school out there has, it not only shows that you have done your research on that school, but it also shows that you have a genuine actual reason for wanting to attend that school over any other school. So for example, if you're coming in with a specific major in mind, you can talk about the specific classes that are related to your major that you want to take at that school. Or if you have certain interests for extracurricular activities, you can talk about the clubs that the school has that you'd be really interested in joining. Again, this shows to the school that you have done your research on them and that you have genuine interest in applying. And it also shows that there are specific things about that school that you're really interested in, and those are the things that you're applying for. You'll be really hitting them with a 1-2 combo. And in terms of overall advice for approaching the YS essay, in general, you want to show that you are excited about the school in your essay. You know, the schools don't want to accept students who don't seem excited about applying. So if you can show that you're really excited and you really want to go to the school, they'll be more inclined to accept you. I would also recommend looking at the mission statement of the school and seeing how you can integrate the core principles of the school into your own YS essay, because if you can show that the school's principles and your principles align, then that will definitely be a big help to your application. And since the point of college is to further your own education and career and to also grow as a person, in your YS essay, I think it would also be good to show what the school can do for you, as well as what you can do for the school. In other words, how will you make the most of the resources available at this school, and what will you be able to accomplish as a result of attending this school? This has been my advice for how to write the YS essay, so to all of you guys who are applying to colleges right now, I wish you the best of luck. If you're also looking for advice on how to improve your Common App essay, check out this video here, or feel free to check out any of the other videos I have on my channel on how to approach the other kinds of supplemental essays.